The land we know today as Iran has been home to civilizations for millennia. Archaeological discoveries point to the existence of sophisticated cultures as far back as the Neolithic period. These early inhabitants laid the foundation for the rise of a powerful and enduring civilization. Among them, the Persians emerged as a dominant force. Around the first millennium BCE, they migrated to the Iranian plateau from Central Asia. They settled in the region, establishing their own distinct identity and challenging the existing powers of the time. The Persians were skilled warriors and horsemen. They were also known for their intricate metalwork and vibrant artistic traditions. They organized themselves into powerful tribes. One such tribe, the Medes, rose to prominence in the 7th century BCE, establishing a vast empire that encompassed much of the Iranian plateau. The Medes clashed with the mighty Assyrian Empire, eventually contributing to its downfall. This victory paved the way for the emergence of the Persians as a major power in the ancient world. Among the Persians, a charismatic leader named Cyrus the Great emerged. He united the Persian tribes under his banner. Cyrus challenged the Median rule and, through a combination of military prowess and shrewd diplomacy, overthrew his Median overlords. This victory marked the birth of the Achaemenid Empire, named after Achaemenes, an ancestor of Cyrus. The Achaemenid Empire would grow to become the largest the world had ever seen, stretching from the Indus River in the east to the Aegean Sea in the west. Cyrus the Great's conquests laid the foundation for the Achaemenid Empire, an empire that would flourish for over 2 centuries. Cyrus was not only a skilled conqueror but also a wise ruler. He understood that the longevity of his empire depended on more than just military might. He adopted a policy of tolerance towards the customs and religions of the conquered peoples. This approach fostered stability and loyalty within the vast empire. He allowed deported populations, such as the Jews exiled in Babylon, to return to their homelands. This act of benevolence earned him the epithet Cyrus the Great and cemented his legacy as a just and compassionate ruler. His successors continued his legacy of expansion. Cambyses II, Cyrus's son, conquered Egypt, adding this ancient civilization to the Achaemenid domain. Darius I, who came to power in 522 BCE, further consolidated the empire. He implemented a centralized administrative system. Satrapies, or provinces, were governed by appointed officials called satraps. These satraps answered directly to the Persian king, known as the King of Kings. To connect the far-flung corners of his empire, Darius established a vast network of roads. The most famous of these was the Royal Road, stretching over 1,600 miles from Susa in Persia to Sardis in Anatolia. The Achaemenid Empire was a period of cultural exchange and artistic innovation. The Persians were influenced by the cultures they conquered and, in turn, left their mark on the artistic and architectural traditions of the ancient world. The empire's wealth and splendor were reflected in the construction of magnificent cities, including the ceremonial capital of Persepolis. Persepolis, with its monumental staircases, intricately carved reliefs, and majestic audience halls, stood as a testament to the power and grandeur of the Achaemenid Empire. The empire's prosperity was not without its challenges. Conflicts with the Greeks, known as the Greco-Persian Wars, marked a turning point. Despite the Persians' military might, the Greeks, with their superior naval power and strategic alliances, ultimately prevailed. These wars, immortalized by Herodotus and other ancient historians, highlighted the shifting balance of power in the ancient world. The death of Darius III in 330 BCE, following the conquests of Alexander the Great, marked the end of the Achaemenid Empire. Alexander's empire, though short-lived, had a profound impact on the cultural landscape of Persia. His conquests ushered in the Hellenistic period, a fusion of Greek and Persian cultures. This fusion was evident in the arts, architecture, and even language. Greek became the language of administration and trade, while Persian artistic motifs continued to thrive alongside Greek styles. Following Alexander's death, his vast empire was divided amongst his generals. The Diadochi, Seleucus I as Nicator, gained control of the eastern territories, including Persia. The Seleucid Empire, as it came to be known, faced numerous challenges. Among these were the rise of local dynasties seeking to reclaim their independence. In the mid-3rd century BCE, A nomadic tribe from Central Asia, the Parthians rose to prominence under the leadership of Arsaces I. They challenged the Seleucid rule, gradually expanding their control over the Iranian plateau. The Parthians were skilled warriors and horsemen, renowned for their use of mounted archers, particularly their Parthian shot, a tactic where they would feign retreat while firing arrows back at their pursuers. The Parthian Empire, also known as the Arsacid Empire, ushered in a new era in Persian history. While they adopted elements of Hellenistic culture, the Parthians also sought to revive Persian traditions. They positioned themselves as successors to the Achaemenids, emphasizing their Persian heritage. The Parthian era saw a revival of Zoroastrianism, an ancient Persian religion that had been suppressed under Hellenistic rule. The Parthians faced a formidable enemy in the west, the Roman Empire. The two empires engaged in a series of conflicts, vying for control of Armenia and Mesopotamia. These conflicts, marked by both victories and defeats, defined the geopolitical landscape of the ancient world for centuries. The Parthians, through their military prowess and strategic alliances, proved to be a formidable opponent to the Roman legions. They prevented the Romans from expanding further eastward, effectively halting the eastward expansion of the Roman Empire. By the early 3rd century CE, the Parthian Empire, weakened by internal strife and external pressures, was ripe for change. In 224 CE, Ardashir I, a Persian nobleman claiming descent from the ancient Persian kings, defeated the last Parthian ruler, Artabanus V. This victory marked the beginning of the Sasanian Empire, a dynasty that would rule Persia for over 4 centuries. The Sasanians sought to restore Persia to its former glory. Drawing inspiration from the Achaemenid Empire, they embarked on a campaign of expansion, challenging their Roman rivals to the west. The Sasanian era is often referred to as a renaissance in Persian history. It was a period marked by significant cultural, artistic, and military achievements. The Sasanians were patrons of the arts and sciences. They revived ancient Persian traditions and fostered a flourishing intellectual environment. Under their rule, Zoroastrianism flourished as the state religion. They built impressive palaces, such as the palace at Ctesiphon, which housed the Takht Khasra, the largest single-span vault of unreinforced brickwork in the world. This architectural marvel served as a testament to the engineering skills of the Sasanian builders. The Sasanian Empire was also a time of significant military reforms. The Sasanians reorganized the army, emphasizing the use of heavily armored cavalry known as cataphracts. These heavily armored horsemen, wielding lances and swords, proved to be a formidable force on the battlefield. They engaged in a series of protracted wars with the Byzantine Empire, the eastern continuation of the Roman Empire. These conflicts, often fought over control of strategic territories and trade routes, were fierce and costly for both sides. Despite their military successes, the Sasanian Empire, weakened by constant warfare and internal instability, faced a new threat from the Arabian Peninsula, the rise of Islam. In the early 7th century CE, a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula, Islam. The Prophet Muhammad's message of monotheism and social justice resonated with the people of Arabia, uniting them under the banner of Islam. They embarked on a series of conquests, spreading their faith far beyond the Arabian Peninsula. The Sasanian Empire, weakened by decades of war with the Byzantine Empire, proved vulnerable to this new threat. The Battle of Al-Qadisiyah in 636 CE marked a decisive turning point. The Rashidun Caliphate, the early Islamic state, decisively defeated the Sasanian army. This victory opened the way for the Muslim conquest of Persia. By 651 CE, the once mighty Sasanian Empire had fallen to the Rashidun Caliphate. Yazdegerd III, the last Sasanian king, was killed, marking the end of the Sasanian dynasty and the ancient Persian Empire. The arrival of Islam had a profound impact on Persian society. Islam spread rapidly, becoming the dominant religion. However, the Persians did not abandon their cultural identity. Rather, they embraced Islam while preserving many aspects of their language, literature, and traditions. Persian scholars, artists, and scientists played a pivotal role in the flourishing Islamic Golden Age. The Abbasid Caliphate, which overthrew the Umayyad Caliphate in 750 CE, witnessed a significant Persian influence. The Abbasids moved the capital of their empire from Damascus to Baghdad, a city founded in 762 CE in present-day Iraq. Baghdad, strategically located on trade routes connecting the east and west, became a center of learning and commerce, attracting scholars and traders from across the Islamic world and beyond. Section 6. Turmoil and Transformation. Mongols, Safavids, and a New Golden Age. The Abbasid Caliphate, weakened by internal divisions and external pressures, gradually declined. By the 10th century, Persia was divided into several smaller rival states, each vying for power and influence. This fragmentation left Persia vulnerable to new waves of invaders. In the 13th century, the Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan, swept across Asia, leaving a path of destruction in their wake. Persia was no exception. The Mongol invasions, led by Genghis Khan's grandson, Hulagu Khan, devastated the region. Cities were sacked, libraries were burned, and countless lives were lost. The Mongol conquests marked a period of profound upheaval and destruction in Persian history. However, the Mongols were not merely conquerors, they were also pragmatists. Under the Ilkhanate, the Mongol dynasty that ruled Persia, a degree of stability was restored. The Ilkhanate rulers converted to Islam, patronized the arts, and encouraged trade. This period witnessed a revival of Persian culture and a flourishing of artistic and intellectual pursuits. The Ilkhanate eventually fragmented into smaller states. In the 15th century, a new power emerged in Persia, the Safavid dynasty. The Safavids, led by Ismail I, established a centralized state and significantly adopted Shia Islam as the state religion. This decision had profound implications for the religious and political landscape of Persia, marking a distinct break from the Sunni Islam practiced in the Ottoman Empire to the west. The Safavid era witnessed another golden age in Persian history. Under the reign of Shah Abbas I, the Safavid Empire reached its zenith. Shah Abbas reformed the army, expanded the empire's borders, and established a new capital at Isfahan. Isfahan, with its magnificent mosques, palaces, and gardens, became a renowned center of art, architecture, and trade. Section 7. The Qajar dynasty, between tradition and modernity. The Safavid Empire, weakened by internal strife and external pressures, eventually declined. In 1736, Nader Shah, a brilliant military commander, seized power, establishing the short-lived Afsharid dynasty. Nader Shah's reign was marked by both military successes and a brutal tyranny. He expanded the empire's borders but also faced numerous rebellions. His assassination in 1747 plunged Persia into a period of instability. From the chaos that followed Nader Shah's death, a new dynasty emerged, the Qajar dynasty. Aga Muhammad Khan, founder of the Qajar dynasty, unified Persia and established Tehran as the new capital in 1796. The Qajar dynasty, while not as militarily powerful as their predecessors, oversaw a period of relative peace and stability. The 19th century was a period of significant change for Persia and indeed the world. The Industrial Revolution transformed Europe, leading to advances in technology, manufacturing, and military power. European colonial powers, driven by economic and imperial ambitions, expanded their influence across the globe. Persia, strategically located at the crossroads of Asia and Europe, became an object of interest for both the Russian Empire to the north and the British Empire to the south. The Qajar rulers found themselves caught between the competing interests of these European powers. They sought to maintain Persia's independence while also engaging in diplomatic and economic relations with these emerging powers. This balancing act proved increasingly difficult as the 19th century progressed. Persia was forced to cede territories to both Russia and Britain. They also granted economic concessions, such as control over customs revenues and the exploitation of natural resources. Despite these challenges, the Qajar period witnessed significant cultural and intellectual developments. Persian literature, art, and architecture continued to flourish. There was a growing awareness of the changes taking place in the world beyond Persia's borders. This awareness led to debates about the need for reform and modernization to strengthen Persia and preserve its independence in a rapidly changing world. Section 8. The 20th Century Oil Revolution and the Islamic Republic. The 20th century was a period of profound transformation for Persia, marked by revolution, modernization, and the establishment of the Islamic Republic. The discovery of oil in the early 20th century had significant geopolitical and economic implications for Persia. Oil concessions granted to foreign powers fueled resentment among many Persians who felt that their country's resources were being exploited for the benefit of foreign interests. The early 20th century witnessed growing social and political unrest in Persia, culminating in the Constitutional Revolution of 1906. This revolution, inspired by a desire for greater political freedom and limits on the absolute power of the monarchy, led to the establishment of a parliament, Majlis, and a constitution. The Constitutional Revolution marked a significant step towards modernization and political reform in Persia. However, the implementation of these reforms was hampered by internal divisions, foreign interference, and the outbreak of World War I. Following the war, Reza Shah Pahlavi, a military officer, rose to prominence. He overthrew the weakened Qajar dynasty in 1925 and established the Pahlavi dynasty. Reza Shah embarked on an ambitious program of modernization, seeking to transform Persia into a modern nation-state. He invested in infrastructure, education, and the military. He also implemented social reforms such as banning the veil for women in an effort to break with tradition and promote a more modern, westernized society. His son, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, succeeded him in 1941. Mohammad Reza Shah continued his father's modernization efforts, launching the White Revolution in 1963. This program aimed to modernize Iran's economy, land reform, and promote social justice. However, these top-down reforms, while achieving some successes, also alienated many Iranians, particularly the clergy and the poor, who felt left behind by the Shah's modernization drive. Growing opposition to the Shah's rule, fueled by his authoritarian policies, social inequality, and close ties to the United States, culminated in the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a charismatic religious leader, the revolution toppled the Pahlavi dynasty and established the Islamic Republic of Iran. Section 9. Modern Iran, a nation forging its path in the 21st century. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 marked a watershed moment in Iran's history. It brought about a profound transformation, establishing an Islamic republic based on the principles of Islamic law, Sharia, and led by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini. The revolution had a profound impact on Iran's domestic and foreign policies, shaping the country's trajectory in the decades that followed. The early years of the Islamic Republic were marked by both challenges and triumphs. The Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988, a brutal conflict that exacted a heavy toll on both nations, tested the resilience of the newly established Islamic Republic. Despite facing international isolation and economic sanctions, Iran emerged from the war with a sense of national unity and a reinforced commitment to its Islamic identity. In the post-Khomeini era, following the death of Ayatollah Khomeini in 1989, Iran has grappled with the challenges of economic development, social change, and its place in a rapidly evolving global order. The country has witnessed a growing desire for greater political and social freedoms, particularly among its youthful population. Iran's relations with the international community have been complex and often strained. The country's nuclear program, which Iran maintains is for peaceful purposes, has been a source of contention with the West, leading to sanctions and diplomatic tensions. Iran's regional influence and support for groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Assad regime in Syria have also fueled tensions with regional rivals like Saudi Arabia and Israel. Despite these challenges, Iran remains a significant regional power with a rich history, a vibrant culture, and a complex, evolving society. It faces the future with a determination to chart its own course, balancing its Islamic identity with its aspirations for progress and development in the 21st century.